Welcome, I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. I am delighted to see that many of you already have your notepads and pens handy because you know that I always want you to take notes and that you make a commitment to yourself to jot down some sort of action item that you can implement in your business today. Remember, implementation is what this is all about to drive your business forward. Today we're going to continue our discussion on marketing and sales. Specifically, I want to talk today about content marketing, and hopefully many of you are interested in that. You have some questions about that. You'll get something out of this. Don't tune out if you're not engaged in content marketing or you don't think you ever will be. There's always something in these discussions that should stimulate some sort of action item that you can implement and drive your business forward. So let's start with a definition. What do I mean when I talk about content marketing? Well, you already know the definition of marketing from the rest of our discussion, which is a means of communicating your value, the product or service value, to your target market. So that's what marketing is. So when we talk about content marketing, what do we mean? What is content? I think of content as something of value that you can digitally share with your people that are engaged with you, your target market, hopefully. But you're engaging with the market in some way by offering something of value that you can share digitally. So in the real world, you might think of this as analogous to giving some sort of free sample. You know, you've been in the mall where they pass out those little free samples of Cinnabon, or perhaps you've been in a restaurant while you're waiting for a table and they give you a free sample of an appetizer or maybe a taster of their featured wine, something like this. Some businesses actually give free samples, little tasters. I've even facetiously used the example of the drug dealer who gives you the free taste to get you hooked on his product. Well, many businesses understand that there is value in giving value. There is a good merit to the business. There's a good business case to be made for giving something away to prospective customers, to your target market, in hopes that they will say, wow, yeah, this is actually really good. I think we want more of the same, or this is something that we should consider looking more at this business. Well, that's what we talk about when we are saying content marketing. It's a way of giving little free samples, but in a virtual world. That's why I talk about digital. These are really low marginal costs of replication, digital assets, some sort of creative asset that you will share. Very often it's sharing your knowledge. So for those of you who are contractors, maybe you're a master electrician, perhaps you're going to share some knowledge that people who want to do it themselves, the do-it-yourselfers, can take some sort of content that you create that shares your knowledge, and they can go and do a little project themselves. Or maybe after consuming that content, reading your knowledge, they go, yeah, you know what, I'd rather not do it. Maybe they take on the project and they realize it's bigger than they thought, and they call you in. Or they are successful and that was great, and they start following you because they receive something of value. So when we content market, we are creating things of value that we can offer, and we're giving that away for free in hopes of engaging consumers, engaging people who will one day hopefully convert to become revenue sources. Now, in the example I gave, I used writing. Maybe you wrote an article that you shared some of your specialized knowledge. So that is one thing. Some people will write articles, blog posts, or you may prefer, like this, to record a video or a vlog post. You may do something that's strictly audio and record a podcast. And you may share something on social media that is, visual, maybe an infographic or something. The key here, though, is that there's value. And we have to realize that when we ask ourselves, should I be engaged in content marketing? When you ask yourself, should I be on social media? It's the same thing, because that is from your business perspective, that is the prime use case for social media, is content marketing. And the question is, do you have something of value that you can share that people may become more and more engaged with your business, and it gets them to know, like, and trust you more. You're building a relationship through this content. Now, you don't have to be a full-time content creator, and some people are full-time content creators. In fact, we never used to call it that. We would, back in the day, people were producing television shows and, a movie producer and this kind of thing. Those are content creators. Only these days, with the help of social media, YouTube, streaming platforms, and that kind of thing, anyone can produce themselves in a way where they can share something of value with those that might want to follow. And people are doing this from a very young age now, teenagers, and so on. And so people raised in this sort of culture, this digital culture of social media and everything, it's not a strange concept to them. It's like, oh yeah, well, people are interested in what other people are doing. And in a business context, I'm not saying that you will become a full-time content creator. In fact, you have to ask yourself, can you create something of value? Should you? Is that a good use of your time? Perhaps you want to engage somebody else to do content marketing. Maybe you realize, no, there's actually lots of information that I have, lots of specialized knowledge. There's things that we can give away that would be engaging for people, or maybe you want to test the water, so to speak. You want to see, is there interest out there? Are people prepared to consume and follow and become engaged with you? And then you can decide what amount of resources, how much of your resources you're going to dedicate to this. Content marketing is really a means of trying to expose people, give awareness to people in your target market of value of the other products and services you have, as opposed to be the product itself. So when you think of somebody who's a full-time content creator, these people, the content they create is the product themselves. Like we talked about, for example, a television series or a movie or a song, creating that content. Maybe those people are very gifted artists, that's what they produce. Or a YouTuber who's like, well, I actually started in this particular industry, and then I found I really enjoyed producing videos on that, and that became a better source of revenue. I don't expect that's going to be the case for most of you. When I talk about content marketing, I'm not really suggesting that most of you will become content creators and invest a whole bunch of time to it. So that is always something you have to do in your business, is determine what is the best way to deploy your resources. Where will you get the best return on your investment? So when you're engaging in content marketing, just like any other form of marketing, search engine marketing or advertising traditionally, you want to get some analytics and some feedback. And then when it comes to content marketing, you're looking at what level of engagement do you have. And so some of the analytics you would look for are depending on the platform. So we already mentioned you could share, we talked about the different categories of things, like you could have something of writing, something visual, something audio, a video, an infographic, these types of things. Those are the different types of media, and then the mediums through which you can share that is the various channels like social media, YouTube, your website, email campaigns. Most of these things are very effective at sharing digital content. And so when you look at that, you want to make sure that you're measuring and getting feedback, analytics. So if in the example of an email campaign, how often are people opening the email? How often are they clicking on it? If you are writing a blog post, how many people are reading it? How many visits to that blog page do you have? And is there other engagement? Are they sharing that? Are they commenting on it? The same thing with the YouTube. How many subscribers are you getting? How many people are giving you a thumbs up? In social media, how many people are liking or sharing the content? All of these analytics are very much available to you, and that's what you want to engage in. That the analytics you want to analyze to determine whether or not you're getting good return on the investment. Now there is you want to start small, or it is going to start small. You want to accept that things kind of start and they have an exponential growth pattern over time. And so don't be discouraged if you find in the very beginning that it seems like nobody's following, nobody's watching, nobody's listening, nobody's engaging, commenting, sharing, or whatever. You have to start somewhere. And that's why we have this evaluation to do in each of our businesses about how much time am I going to dedicate to this? How much time, money, energy, all the various resources you have, what are you going to put into this? Another question you're going to have to ask yourself is whether this is something you're going to do yourself, or is there somebody on your team who would naturally gravitate toward this? Maybe you have a young person who came up in the digital era and they've got their own personal YouTube channel, and they do that just for fun and entertainment on their spare time, and they would be delighted to do that. You know, we talk about responsibility as a reward. You might have someone on your team who would be delighted to sort of oversee your content marketing strategy. And if you don't have somebody and you're not, you know, inclined to do it yourself, you're not particularly gifted at doing any of these things, you can reach out to a company like ours and delegate it to us. Remember, never do anything yourself that you can pay to have somebody else do for cheaper. Focus your time on those things which are going to get the greatest return on investment. So perhaps you're engaging in the big picture vision for your business of how you're going to drive better value through your products and services, the sales aspect of the business, and then the finer details of social media management and that kind of stuff you delegate to a company like ours. But you may have someone on your team, so you have to do this evaluation and ascertain, if we're going to get into content marketing, who is the best resource to do it, and why should we do it? Is the competition doing it? Is it something that you're sort of last to the party on? We think of content marketing as being a really inexpensive way to offer value to people that are prospective customers, to our target market, and nurture them over time. Remember, the engagement you get from your prospective customers is meant to keep you top of mind for them. When they are in the market for your products or services, they remember, oh, well, there's that electrician that I follow, or there's that restaurant that I follow, or whatever business you happen to run. They follow you on social media, or they're consuming your content, something of value they're getting from you. And since these various platforms for sharing that stuff are very inexpensive, and the creation really doesn't have to cost much money. I mean, the equipment and everything and the digital tools that you use are very inexpensive these days. We think of these as being very inexpensive way to market. And I think content marketing is a great bang for your buck, and most businesses should be considering it these days. It's almost a necessary platform to be marketing. But I want you to remember, it depends on the time of who's engaging in it and whether that is the best use of the time. So even though it is something that's probably got to be part of your overall marketing strategy, you do have to be honest in your assessment of what costs go into these things. So when you're evaluating the cost of marketing or just the cost of content marketing, don't forget to assign the time of whoever is doing that. Now, I've already given the example of sharing your specialized knowledge, and I'd like you to think of when you are giving content away, something of value, focus on the value. Is there value there for the people that will consume this? One best practice I recommend is to rotate through different sort of categories of value. So one would be to educate, and that's where you would share that specialized knowledge that you have. So you might write a blog post, you might record a video that offers instruction to people, some insights into how to do something. That's the educate component. And then move on to another category, which is to entertain. What could you share that's entertaining? And it may be somebody else's content. As long as you have permission to, you may actually, retweet, repost, or forward some sort of entertaining piece of content. But people still got it from you, so they got value from it, because to the extent that they did get value from it, because you need to know your target market and what would be entertaining to them. And some of it's going to be, you're not going to expect to get conversions on everyone. You're not going to expect that every single person is engaging with every piece of your content, but that's why you want to cycle through these. So we already said to educate, to entertain. The third one is to promote. You want to have posts and engagement regarding sales promotions. So you're sharing with people, and again, that's of value. You don't want to never do that. I mean, if you have specials and you're offering a really good, exceptional value on a product or service because you have excess inventory or you're celebrating an anniversary or something of your business, and there's a reason that you have chosen to share lower prices, that's a third category. And then the last one I'd talk about is interactive. So maybe you're giving a survey, a poll, something that's engaging to your audience that they go, I might want to participate in that. And then later you give them the results of the poll, of the engagement. Here, we had 370 people respond on this survey, and 72% say they prefer, whatchamacallits over widgets, whatever the particular engagement, but consider surveys and polls. Those are always a way of engaging people. So those are the 4 categories: to educate, to entertain, sales promotional, and interactive, some sort of survey or poll. And really that's content marketing in a nutshell. Of course, you can spend a lot of time and effort and learn a lot more about this, but I just wanted to expose you to the idea, give you some food for thought, and let's just recap here. Once again, content marketing, it's typically digital, something that you can share with a low marginal cost of replication. It has to be of value. You're going to be communicating the value of your products and services, but this isn't traditional advertising. Instead, you're giving something of value, and that's why we said, it's giving an education, some specialized knowledge, that's of value. Giving something entertaining, that's of value. Letting people know that you have a special, that you have extra value in your business going on right now, that's of value. And having people be able to participate in some sort of interactive survey or poll that's of interest to them, and they get the results of it. Even just having the poll, somebody may not participate, but they may be engaged by looking at the results. So you're offering value. So you're going to only do content marketing with the idea that we can offer value. And it's with the idea of getting people to know, like, and trust you. You're trying to build a relationship with people. You're going to ascertain in the beginning what level of resources can we dedicate to content marketing. The same that you would, you'd make that analysis in terms of a budget with anything else as it relates to an investment in your business, whether it's equipment or marketing or human resources. It's the same with content marketing. It does require an investment, at least of time. It's a lower investment than a lot of things, but you need to evaluate that. And then you need to ask yourself, who is the best person to do this? Where am I going to get the best return on the investment? Is it somebody on your team? Is it to delegate to a company like ours? Or are you going to do this yourself? And then lastly, as always, measure. You need to look at the engagement analytics, and you need to find a way to put that on a report card and ascertain over time, are you going in the right direction? What sort of return on your investment of content marketing are you getting? And you're doing this always with the realization that this is about keeping people engaged and nurturing prospective customers, nurturing leads in hopes that when the timing is right, they will explore more, they will convert to a sale in some way. They will look at your products and services closer because they appreciate the value they're getting from your content marketing in the various channels and in the various types of ways that you offer that to them. So this is a passive form of marketing. This is not aggressive. You don't want to pester anyone. You don't want to be super aggressive. And you can offer more and more as you explore, or rather as you realize that you're getting a better return, you're getting more engagement with people, they are really appreciating this, then you can invest a little bit more of your time, your resources. You can look at that as a company and decide, well, we're going to put more into this. The thing is, you can't really go in at this halfway. You have to make a commitment to this. You don't want to really just dip your toe in the water. You've got to make a commitment with the recognition that it's going to take some time to engage an audience, to build an audience, to get some prospective customers, enough people that want to hear what you have to say. And this has sometimes a bit of an exponential nature. Don't be discouraged in the beginning when this doesn't grow very fast. And then use the analytics as feedback to determine whether people are getting value out of this or not. You know, you don't have to have things growing by leaps and bounds, but are you getting more followers? Are you getting more shares, more likes, that kind of stuff? Then that's positive feedback for you. That's positive reinforcement that you're on the right track, and this will pay off over time. So I think that's where I want to leave it today. I hope you got something out of this and you're going to give this a try, make a commitment to it, you know, set a period of maybe a year or 2 years that you're going to dedicate a certain amount of resources to this, and then see what kind of return you get, what kind of feedback you get. You can't really afford to have your competition doing this and you're not doing this. If you don't want to do this whatsoever with your own time, you just don't think that you have the creative juices, so to speak, to be able to launch this internally. That's why companies like our marketing department exist. We can do this entirely for you. And if you did get something out of this, make sure you leave a comment, because when you leave a comment and somebody else in the community reads from that, we learn from it. And we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.